and welcome to the FitzQ Podcast number 6. We're keeping it going. We're a little bit late, but that's because we were waiting on what we're talking about tonight, which is going to be the developer update.
I was going to say drum roll.
Yep.
Beat me to it. Developer update.
Developer update.
Announcement. Or was this the hyped announcement that the other people were talking about? Ooh.
Well, maybe there's something else. Oh.
Maybe there's more stuff on the horizon, but this is just a little tease, you know?
It's probably this. Probably maybe there's.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything.
I know nothing either. I know nothing.
Okay.
People might think we know stuff, but yes,
we don't know anything, guys.
Other people they might actually know stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the developer update. If you guys haven't heard, Jeff made his usual. When was the last time we got one? It's been a while. Honestly,
last developer update might be Roll Queue, right?
Yeah, which was like August.
Ooh.
Because it was in the last stage of Overwatch League, right?
I think so.
The 222.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was in. Yeah. So it's been like 6, 7, 8 months, something like that.
Cross reference, but yeah, it's been a while. I remember a developer update for Workshop, maybe Roll Queue, and then this. So it's been a while.
Now we
got a spicy bit of math. Anyways, go ahead.
I was gonna say we haven't got a new hero in a bit. You know, we had Sigma, which was like what it was last June. Which they kind of said, you know, they released Overwatch 2 or they announced Overwatch 2. So they're like, hey, you know, we're working on this, blah, 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 working on Overwatch 2. So we'll see when we get that. Usually I wouldn't be surprised if we get one in the next like month, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we don't. So
right.
Whatever. Well, I hope we do because I like playing with the new stuff. But yeah, we've got the new update. Initial thoughts. What do you think?
Well, for those who haven't heard of the developer update, it's a big announcement where they're going to add first an experimental feature to the live servers. That's the first thing they announced. And that was going to consist of very rapid and experimental changes that Blizzard, the Balance team, has been experimenting with, and everybody is allowed to play on it. And it gives people more of an incentive to use it because it's no longer on a separate client and no longer exclusive to PC players. Because every time a PTR update came out with potential changes, console players always got snubbed. They're always just like, okay, well, we're never going to be able to try this out until it's live. Only the PC players get to test it. And even so, not a lot of people test it. They probably go on for like a few hours on the first day and never log back in. I'm kind of guilty. I heard the McCree changes. I looked at it for like 30 minutes and I went back to the live servers. I don't know about you.
Now, yes. And I think a large portion of that is like, I guess, well, we can, yeah, let's talk. Do we want to talk about it? We're doing a brief overview. Let's brief overview everything first and we can come back.
Let's brief everything. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So experimental again. It's going to be on live servers for everybody to use and try. It's going to be a separate mode outside of quick play, arcade, and competitive and game browser. It's like a separate, icon to try it out. And then now you can queue with your friends and still get XP, get your loot boxes. So it's like an incentive for, for people to actually play it and test it out and potentially get feedback for. So I'm all for that. I think it's good news.
Yep.
Second thing on the developer update, I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if you do, but I think it was the hero pool announcement, correct? Yep. And in the developer update, Jeff said that starting next season 21 of Overwatch Competitive, which will begin in March, we're going to be having hero pools. Now, what is hero pools, you're asking? That is essentially hero bans in like a controlled state by Blizzard. Essentially, what it's going to do
called
is
developer ban.
Developer ban.
Yeah, right? pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like they're going to read the data on, what's probably meta or what's really popular, what's rising in popularity, and they're probably just going to ban that hero for 1 week. So 1 week at a time, we'll see a different set of heroes being banned in each category. Now, I don't know if they announced how many they'd be doing in ranked competitive, but I believe they announced in the Overwatch League, they will be doing hero pools per week in which they'll be banning 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 1 support every single week. And no same hero can be banned 2 weeks in a row. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Now, I don't know if they said anything about ladder. I don't know that they gave any detail. Did you see any details for ladder?
I did not, but
Okay.
I think that's it wouldn't surprise me if that was also the same thing they're going to apply in ladder, but
Yeah.
it also wouldn't be too far-fetched to actually do 2 bans in tank, maybe 3 for DPS and 2 for support. I looked at the hero pool list and I'm like, I feel like in ranked, if you just do 1 ban, it's not going to change
The kind of like if Sigma gets banned, you just run Ryan Orisa. If Orisa gets banned, you run Ryan Sigma. Not necessarily this meta, but before that. So like, would that resolve the problems that we already had? But
right, that's the question we got to ask ourselves. But we'll get into that. So let's. That's pretty much the dev update. Did I miss anything, Fitzy?
Yeah. So there's also the replay, share, and save function. So you can save one of your, like, if you have a favorite replay, you can save it. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So if you have a highlight, you can like save the highlight, and like it works on every. No, you can save it and it like.
Oh.
It works for every patch. Like if you have, like I have one from right when Doomfist came out. That's right when that feature came out, and I still have that highlight because you can save it and it like exports it. What I don't know is if, let's say I play 10 games today and I'm like, oh, this one game I really want to save it, and I save it, and then we get another patch. I don't know if it's going to remove that replay. I don't know if they really specified that. And with how fast they're going to be changing, which is another thing that they said, is aggressive balance changes. So I don't know with how fast they're going to be patching if that saving a replay is going to be that big a deal. But they did say also sharing replays. So I don't know about you, but personally, I don't really like VOD reviews because I can't see everything. I can't see all the information I want to see. And with a replay, I could be like, I don't care if your quality sucked. Like, I don't have to worry about you uploading at like 360p. I just like, you played a game, you can give it to me, send it to me, and that's it. And I can look at it and go through and be like, okay, look, see, you weren't, you know, you don't have their perspective, but you can go through and be like, you should have done this because your team was here, and you can have the whole big replay viewer. So I'm looking forward to that. But like I said a second ago, aggressive balance changing. So
yeah, I'll start from the top, and then we'll elaborate our thoughts and what it means for all of us in for each of those 3 things announced in the dev update. So again, from the top, what do we got? Experimental changes. All right, you go first.
Okay, so so experimental. It's good. I like it.
Yep.
Especially because the points that they said about PTR or rather, like when you put a change, like you said earlier about, okay, yeah, it's on PTR, woohoo, we got these changes. You go and try it for like an hour or 2, and they're like, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to see it until it goes live. And that's really what I've done too, unless it's like a new hero. If it's a new hero, it's like, it's on PTR, I'm going to play the crap out of it. But for like the little changes, why try to really test that out in a scenario that it's not competitive? Like, you're going to be playing essentially quick play, and people that don't really care, and they're just playing, like, there's nothing on the line. They're not playing for points. And so one thing that I think they could do with experimental, depending on what they're experimenting, if they're experimenting something that's going to be put in the competitive environment, like balance changes or whatever, because that was one of the things they're talking about was doing crazier balance changes in experimental. I think they could take like a snapshot of your current competitive SR and put it all in there. So you could like queue for competitive of that mode. So you like have some sort of value-ish. Not that that's like, you know, gonna affect your normal SR, but it like, you're playing for something. You're in some
it'll give
sort
you
of
a balanced like playing field to actually test the changes with like reasonable confidence in like the change, right?
Right.
If a certain change comes out, and let's say you and we hop into experimental mode, and you know, the teams that we play up against or with is just vastly imbalanced to where we stand as players, it may give us like incorrect opinions or takes on certain changes, and not just for us, but for anybody, right? Maybe like the player who ends up on the player who's playing with a teammate who's like way higher ranked than them, trying out a change, and they're like, wow, they're so, that change is OP because they're popping off. But realistically, it's just that, you know, that imbalance. So I think having this experimental mode be something you click and then it like branches out even more to like experimental mode, experimental arcade, experimental quick play, experimental competitive.
Well, I think that they were
yes.
talking. I mean, those could, that could be good, but I guess it depends on what they're experimenting on. Because in my eyes, I'm like, okay, cool. They keep experimenting balance changes, but what if they experiment with, like a 2-3-2, or like I don't know what else they're going to experiment. I'm sure obviously they've got ideas. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made this separate thing. So if they're doing something to experiment with quick play, it makes sense to have the experiment quick play. But yeah, I mean, it could branch. The problem there being that it could split the player base and you're getting longer queue times. But I think the problem that could come with it, and again, it's like overall, I think we both agree that it's good, cool. They're testing stuff. That's good. Everyone can do it. Console can do it. PC can do it. You don't have to download PTR. You get to try to get loot boxes. You get to, because people don't have time to play all the time. And I know there's people that want to get every skin and they're like, don't want to play PTR because it's pointless because you want to get all the loot boxes. I don't really, I've played the game enough. I don't really have to do that. But some people want it. And
I've seen it. Like girlfriend's cousin, she's like, can't play too much, but you need to play every week. There's that weekly challenge for the event, right? Where you have to play you need to win 9 games for the week to get that week skin or something like that.
Yeah.
And what reason do they have to go on the PTR if they can't find enough time to even get those games in to do that, right?
Right.
So
yeah, I think it's good. The downside being, or like the potential problems, queue time could be really long. I know even like capture the flag, I'm like, I don't really want to play it because I don't want to wait for 12 minutes to play a game and be over in like 2 minutes, because competitive capture flag games are really fast. And then taken seriously, again, PTR wasn't really taken that seriously, and unless there's a new hero, people typically aren't really playing it. And I think PTR can be used for that. Granted, if they have this experimental tab, sure, send it to live. But I think PTR for a new hero is like, okay, that's a big change that could break a lot of stuff, and you don't want to like have it messing up your game. So I get that. And I just don't know the previous changes. I'm glad that they're moving it to, okay, we're going to experiment. It's good. Put it in and just be faster. But we'll talk, that's the aggressive balance change. Is there anything else with experimental you want to talk about, or I think they're going to experiment with?
I think what you mentioned, that's the, like, other than just fine tuning numbers, like, hey, we'll actually try out McCree 250 HP and actually try it out in this mode. Other than doing stuff like that, like you said, they could do the whole 1-3-2 thing. 1 tank, 3 DPSs, 2 supports. What other changes could they possibly try out? Maybe 3 CP, 2 CP. I don't know. I'm throwing out there. Maybe like King of the Hill is no longer to 100%. Maybe it's like 120%. So
they did talk about the different modes. I think Jeff mentioned that in the video. So yeah, that'll be faster cap time on 2 CP, longer respawns. They could be a little more crazy with that type of stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
I look forward to it. So this one was probably the least exciting to hear about at first. I'm like, okay, cool. Experimental changes. Don't know what will go live and what won't. But the more I think about it, the more I see creative ways to kind of elevate the game or evolve the game. And maybe like a whole new game mode can be, birthed from something like this. And that's how a lot of other games wasn't Dota something like that came out of another game? Like a game,
it came out of Warcraft 3.
Cool game mode. Right.
It was like custom games.
And you add stuff with like the workshop and something gets really popular with the experimental stuff. Just ideas just start flowing around, and the community is very creative. And I'm sure that, something really fancy can come out of it. That would be exciting for us all.
Yeah. So the big talk, hero pools. Essentially developer banning a group of heroes for the week. Season 21, like you mentioned, and that's going to be, I think, March 1st, or it's like the beginning of March or something. Because I think they just, it's like the first Thursday of every other month is when seasons changes, right? So what will that be? It's something like that. Yeah, beginning of March is season 21. So however they do it, we don't know. Overall, I'm interested. I would prefer hero bans, as we've talked about. I think we talk about that last time, right?
We talked about it last time, right? Yeah.
So I'm all for hero bans. I think they could get it to work. And honestly, that might end up being where this goes, depending on, maybe they start with hero, whatever this is, and be like, and like, a year from now we get to hero bans. So give it more power, because what I talked about a lot was power to the players and letting the players decide what they have to like work with. And this is not really giving the players that. It's shifting the meta, because there's not going to be the exact there's going to be heroes that are limited and you can't play them. So what is your overall take on it?
Well, just like you said, right now the power is currently based on the data and the developers to decide what gets taken out for the week and what doesn't. But I do think, like, again, they've said they're all up for change. They can change their mind. It could very well evolve to the power back in our control, where we decide who to ban every week. But for the time being, I'm all for this change because obviously, personally, I play the game 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you do as well, if not more. And every week, guaranteeing different compositions would definitely be more refreshing. Overall, I'm just saying, overall gameplay, every week there's going to be different heroes being banned, which guarantees comps will not be the same week after week. And we saw with goats, it was actually the same thing for way too long. Now, I was never opposed to goats, but I think something staying and being meta for too long definitely gets stale. I don't have an argument against that. The whole idea of whether like a meta is fun versus stale is like different to me, because I actually liked goats. Like, I found the meta fun because, again, I was in Yada and all I do in the back is like pew, 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 experience tranquility, pew, no flankers. I'm cool with it. It was fun, but it gets stale over time because it was there for too long,
right?
Like a year, 2 years. So every week changes, every week we ban. I'm all for it. So I'm gonna pass this back to you now. You're known for being a Sombra connoisseur. So, and people have, I suppose, once again, have been maybe answering on your behalf, or they've been questioning, like, so what happens to streamers like Fitzyhere?
Right.
Who play a lot of Sombra, and Sombra's not in the week. Do you think he'll be happy if he plays a different hero for the week? Or do you think he's going to soft throw? Do you think he's just going to not play ranked? So I'm going to pass it on to you. What do you feel about hero changes?
So
from this kind of position.
First of all, it depends on how they do it. Now, they could do it like Overwatch League, where Overwatch League essentially talked about if there's meta heroes, they won't be there next week. Like, oh, okay, these 3 heroes have been like a 80% pick rate. They're going to be banned the next week. So if that's how the ladder works, I'm totally fine. Because Sombra's never going to hit that pick rate. And if she does, like, whatever. I'm fine. I don't need to play it. Now, if it's random, the odds of Sombra being banned is like once every 3 months.
If you do the math to it.
It's like,
that's true.
It's once a week maybe it's like once every 2 months. Like 1 week a season is Sombra's not going to be there. It's like, it's not a big deal. Now, the question is, what will I do during that time? And really, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I'm probably going to play on my alt account and play Ashe and try to get other heroes up to like the SR that I'm more comfortable with. That being said, I could also just play Mei the entire time and figure out Widow. Pretty much, it's going to make me play some other heroes that I'm not necessarily super comfortable on, but I'm not like, oh no, the world's ending. It's over. I can't do anything. If anything, I just don't play Overwatch for a week. If I actually get to like that upset or whatever, like I don't think it's gonna be that big of a problem. Granted, if you're a meta player and like the hero's meta, and like, if I'm like a Hanzo player, glad
Hanzo's banned every 3 weeks.
Yeah, like I'm good with that. I'm good. I'm set. So. Yeah, I'm not really gonna have a problem with it. I think the ways to get around it again is like you just have an alt account, or you play the other roles that week. And that's what other people are potentially going to do too. And that's where we could see some problems, but not really problems. There's just like what's going to trickle down and happen because of these changes. Whereas with hero bans, I wouldn't really be able to avoid that, because I wouldn't just be like, oh, my hero's potentially going to be here, I'll play in my main, and then, you get in there and my hero's banned. So this is theoretically better for me or people in my situation that have a limited-ish hero pool that don't really go and venture into every single DPS hero. Granted, if you literally only play one hero, yeah, you're screwed for that week, and you can't do anything. Get outside, go get some fresh air, and chill for a week.
Yeah, go swimming in a pool. Just don't bring a laptop and play Overwatch while in a pool.
Who would do that? Nobody.
Who would do that?
Hey, I brought a PC. I didn't bring a laptop.
Oh, it's your PC.
Yeah, I had my PC up and stuck it by the pool.
Share that story. Wait, you gotta share that story. Wait, how did that come to be?
Well, I was at my parents' house who had a pool, and I was like, you know what? I don't know that I've ever seen anybody play Overwatch in a pool. So I set my computer up and got the monitor, keyboard, mouse by the pool, and hopped in the pool and played Overwatch. I won both those games too. I only played 2 because I started to get a little cold. It was a little cold.
Yeah, because you're not moving.
Yeah, I was just sitting there. So I took a little victory lap afterwards. Just hopped on and swam to the other end, got back. But
any water get in your keyboard?
No.
Because the water's just idle, right? It's just,
Yeah, people were really concerned, and I was like, I mean, it's not like I'm like dunking my computer into all my PC stuff was inside. It was just like the cords were out, and the monitor was by the pool. It's not gonna how many times does your monitor on your desk just randomly fallen over? It's not like you're just like, oh no, my monitor decided to jump in the pool. But yeah, I won both those games, so I wasn't throwing. I was still able to, it was kind of hard to see because there was a little reflection of the sun and stuff, but. When you try to look at your phone when you're outside and there's like a giant glare from the clouds or whatever, that was going on the monitor. I couldn't see everything, but I got it done. I figured it out.
Okay. Well, yeah. So we just don't play for the week if you're, a true quote unquote one trick. And, I mean, it'll be a lot more sparse than people think, right? Just like you said, if your hero specifically that you play a lot isn't the meta, and they go based on statistics, like you said, then the hero that you play probably won't be banned very often.
And you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, imagine, we've seen Hanzo Mei, right? Hanzo Mei and... I keep saying the DPS role because they're going to ban 2.
Right.
And, if you're a Torbjorn trick, they're not, Torbjorn's not going to be banned if they use statistics, like you said. So, I think... my opinion on this changes based on how they do it. And if they do it like Overwatch League, cool. If they don't, it's also cool. It's just it's going to be weird if let's say last meta, because we don't really know what this meta is. We played it for a week. Mm-hmm. Let's say, Winston and Diva got banned for that, and whatever, they said one tank anyways, so Winston and Diva get banned, nothing happens there. the bans mean nothing for that week, which is maybe okay, because that week we'll have the theoretical best meta or strongest meta, I guess, of the true meta. But the biggest change with this is potentially pushing variety, and that's what a lot of people want. Or what that's what I want. That's what I feel like a lot of people want. They're okay, like you said, with playing the meta, just not you don't want it to be stale. You don't want it to be there for that long.
You don't want it to be stale for that long. Exactly. Yeah. Now I read a concern on Twitter about it.
About hero pools.
Right. Yeah.
So
mostly for Overwatch League. But...
Okay. So that's what I want to talk about next. So Overwatch League hero pools, they put out the blog post about how they're going to do it, and it's starting in March. Because are there stages? There's not stages. Someone told me there's not stages this year. Is that true?
I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. I don't know the format.
Okay.
So I don't know when they're going to be implementing certain changes or balance changes between. I mean, previously it would be between stages, but now if there's no stages,
Right.
I don't know what
So
would be the ideal time anymore.
to me, this is exciting because you have to keep up with the changes, but also you get to see teams thrive in different weeks. It's not just going to be like okay, they're really good at goats. Woohoo. Next. Okay, next week they're really good at goats. Okay, cool. Whatever. Now it's going to be like, oh my gosh, those heroes are banned. Oh, that roster has that person. They're really good at that hero and it's not banned this week. Are they going to pop off with that? Are they going to pick that? Oh, yeah. And like you can see those different heroes get played, which that's exciting, I think, to like see the different variety, see the different players that are really good on their signature heroes. And you're going to see those able to get through because, okay, look, Widow's banned. Maybe that Pharah player can shine or whatever hard and soft counters there are. You can see something get banned and something being picked because of that. And then the shifting meta, because they're going to use it on stats based on, okay, those top heroes were picked 100% of the time or the 98% of the time or whatever, are going to be banned the next week. And so you know that going forward that you're not going to be able to have the same game plan every single week. You're going to have to change it every single week. The way that they talked about the balance changes is 2 weeks implementation period. So if something happens on like a Wednesday, not that weekend and not the following weekend, I think is what they said. No, it won't. Okay, if it happens on like a Wednesday, it won't happen that weekend, but the following weekend is when they'll be implemented. And then if it happens on one weekend, it will be the next weekend that it gets implemented. I think is what they said. If they didn't say that, it's like 1 week plus to both of those. It's like a 2 week period. So that's since there aren't stages, if there aren't, again, don't quote me on that, but someone told me somewhere, I don't know. Then I understood why they did the balance changes before and during the stages or through in between the stages is because, stage 1, you wanted to make sure each team got to play against each other team on the same playing field. But if they're doing more aggressive balance changes, you don't want to wait for like, okay, next stage, here's 30 changes that we're putting in now and just like, whoosh. Can't wait that long. The player base is going to be moving on. And I felt that way. I don't know if when Moth meta was happening, when like they finally nerfed Mercy and I'm like, I'm playing the ladder, Mercy's gone, woohoo. And like, I didn't care what the heck was going on Overwatch League because they're running around with the Flying Moth for another month and a half. And I was like, I don't care. They're not on the same patch.
Yep.
And so you can't relate.
That was also, that was the issue with the Hanzo stuff too. Like full Hanzo scatter was still in Overwatch League and live wasn't. So nobody wants to watch it. So having the game stay in tune and stay in line with what they play in the Overwatch League will be very important. And I think for teams who have very flexible and adaptable players will thrive, and those who have like a big roster with a bunch of hero specialists where they can shine on certain weeks, that's where all the value comes from now. Now, speaking of counters, there was one argument about this hero pool with counters. So let's just say this week, Sombra and I don't know, Brig and May were banned. And then do you feel that in certain weeks, certain players who are specialists on a certain hero, let's say Ball, for example,
right.
Okay, Wrecking Ball players, and then Sombra is banned for that week, May is banned, Brig is banned, and like
Hog.
I don't know, Hog was banned, exactly. Yeah. Do you feel like in certain weeks, certain players will definitely dominate more and
absolutely
quote, unquote, inflate their SR a little bit during that week, and then when the weeks change, do you think they'll fall back down? Do you think that's a problem? Do you think it'll be at the top of the ladder? I can see it like people getting salty about leaderboards if they really care about it. Like, oh, this certain Ball player got to 4,900 peak because literally all the hardest counters just so happened to be banned that week. And now they're camping the spot because there's no decay. Now that's granted, that's like only a few thousand people worry about that who play ladder at that level. But in general, for a lot of people, what do you think people will feel if they get in a ranked game and their diamond teammate is actually usually like a 2,400 player, but they just happen to hit diamond because they played a hero a week where they were just dominating because of, what was meta or what was in the hero pool and what wasn't.
Definitely will have fluctuations. I mean, I know if Hanzo, McCree, and Hog all get banned in 1 week, I am going to be running around and no one's going to stop me, because if those 3 heroes aren't in a game, I'm feeling good. But for the ball, like you said, Sombra, May obviously are very good at shutting down ball. So can be Brig, so can Hog, and so the ball player is going to thrive for that week, yeah. And going to inflate their SR the next week when they're back in and ball is banned because he was so dominant during that week, right? So then if they're using on stats, the ball is really dominant for that week and everyone's playing him, he's going to be banned the next week, and then the ball player's going to be like, what do I do? So the fluctuations are going to happen, and it is a potential problem because it's going to be every start of the week. Okay, you either climb a lot or you drop a lot, and then you figure it out a little bit, and then you can't really get into this ever settling into figuring out how to play. So yeah, I think it's a very valid point that it can break those problems. That the thing that could be good, potentially, the people that say they're stuck at whatever SR, I'm stuck at 2,500. Oh no. And then because of some change, they skyrocket and get through the 3,000, and then they're able to maintain there. Could be good to get through those, to break through some sort of stagnation.
Right. I see the positive. I definitely see where you come, the psychology too. People feel more encouraged to play more. Wow, I broke through the slump. They're playing at a higher level, and maybe feeling that challenge of higher level teammates and higher level enemies actually improve them as a result, and then they actually do maintain it. And I can see that side of it. But then I guess that poses the question: do you think Decay should come back for that exact reason, where people climb in that week and then they just camp because they won't play in suboptimal conditions and they only play when their hero dominates?
I'm not sure why they really got rid of Decay. Well, no, it was not being able to play enough or whatever. I don't know why they got rid of it.
Something like that.
I think especially and maybe they just ramp it up to Masters and GM, or maybe they just ramp it up to GM. You can't camp top 500, blah blah. And it's well, because there are so many alt accounts in top 500, as much as there are Smurfs and whatnot and other ranks and whatnot. There's so many people that have multiple accounts in top 500 that it kind of takes it away from people that are close to the edge of top 500, and it's top 500 is really top 250, maybe top 300. I don't know what the exact number is. There's lots of Smurfs, and I think Decay would be fine to bring back. I don't. The reason I think was, again, it's too many games to play for a week. If I can't play for a week, oh no. But if you're trying to be in the Grandmaster of the highest skill of the game, you're either playing or you're not. You can't really maintain GM by not playing anyways for a week or whatever. And maybe they make it 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, no, it's just the argument's more of I get nothing changes with Decay. Your SR changes, but your MMR doesn't. So everything under the hood doesn't technically change. But having Decay kind of forces people to play if they want to maintain that. And then that's the whole idea of if you force someone to kind of play more often when it's a sub, it forces them to play even if their hero isn't dominant that week because their counters aren't banned or whatever. So they no longer just selectively play during those weeks and then keep showing off a high SR, A, and then B, just never touching it again until those conditions are met again.
Right.
As compared to, with Decay, not even for the Grandmasters, even Diamond Masters or wherever it starts. Just.
And hitting literally during one season, all you need is 1 week for your perfect scenario, and then you would just play 25 games and you'd be done. And then top 500 is just going to be they've played 25 games during the prime week of their perfect scenario. Right. So yeah, I think Decay is definitely something they could and should bring back, at least for Grandmaster and above.
At minimum Grandmaster and above. Now Diamond and above to where it was in the past, it's a little bit up for debate because it's not that serious.
Yeah, not that it's not serious, but what matter the leaderboard. Like people are so adamant about like I'm rank 1 and you can see me. I'm rank 1 and like they literally just camp it and don't like. You look at the leaderboards and it's like 25 games, 26 games played. That's all they played. And then there's people like 300, 250. Like they literally only played it to get to camp their rank, which it's who cares? Who cares? Well, some people care. Some people care.
Well, to be fair, sometimes it really does help like to market and get your name out there.
Yeah.
Let's be real here. Sometimes it could be that break point, be like, I never heard of this person before. Who is this? And people can start talking like, is this an owl smurf? Like, who is KarQ sitting at number 1, 4,950 peak? Like, huh? You know,
I do think
that.
As much as like I don't care about alt accounts, whatever. I don't think people should have multiple top 500 accounts.
Yeah.
I don't know what your stance is on that. I've never felt good with that because what they did is they implemented this. You have to put your phone number in to get, like you have to have a registered phone or whatever to get a top 500 thing. And then it's like, okay, well, everyone just borrows everyone's phone. They have like 7 accounts on top 500. It's like,
yep.
What was the point of implementing that to get, because it's only top 500 that you have to do it to implement it. So yeah, I don't know. It feels, my alt account, it hit it, but I think it was before they implemented the system. And then after that, like I never got another phone to get my alt account to get top 500. Like,
don't care enough. But like, it's just, like how else is Blizzard supposed to stop that though? Like if what's one way to guarantee that all your accounts don't get on the same leaderboard? How do you secure
I don't
it
think
so
there's
you know it's
necessarily a way to guarantee, but there's definitely people that are very obviously doing it, and you could shut those down. Because I mean, there's plenty of streamers that have multiple top 500 accounts that you could be like, hey, don't do that, and then ban that account or like turn it off so it can't get it, and then be like, you do it again and it's going to get banned. But they don't, it's again not a big deal. I know in other games like StarCraft there was monetary value getting in top 16, so Overwatch doesn't really have that. But what StarCraft did what somebody did to get people to stop doing that was because there was barcode accounts where their names were IL, and you didn't know who it was. And so what somebody did is they said, okay, top 10 players of the leaderboard, and you can't have a barcode account. Top 10 players, and you have to like, talk to me and send me whatever. If you want to do it, send me, verify that it's you, get the monetary value for it. So not that Blizzard's doing that. I don't think they need to do that. It's not that big a deal, whatever. But if we're talking about the current system and what top 500, like top 500 just doesn't mean anything then. Or it doesn't mean as much because people are just going to camp for 1 week. In that perfect scenario, hold the spot, woohoo, look at me. I played that one hero. Cool.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern. But yeah.
So, one tricks in Overwatch League. What do you think? Not that there's, that many, but there might be a couple out there. You think they're going to do okay being the specialist on certain maps?
I think the fact that, I'm not going to speak that I know. Maybe half the reason why they did that sort of signing was because they knew something like this was going to come, or they're just prepping in the future, or maybe it could have just been a coincidence. But I think one tricks or hero specialists in the league will definitely find a place and excel. It gives them more reason to do so, because I remember last season when it was all goats, people who were widow specialists or whatever just couldn't see any playtime because
right.
Their heroes were never in the quote unquote meta, and then they just rode the bench the entire season.
And I think that's bad. I'm glad that like they will have the opportunity to shine.
I'm actually pretty glad that this is a thing for them. And I think some players are upset, but the ones who are adaptable and they're not worried, they're like, yeah, this is fine. And the ones who probably anticipated that they might ride the bench for a while, be like, oh, this is my time to shine. If this is the week where my hero is going to excel, hey,
put me in, coach.
More power. Put me in, coach. Coach. I could do this.
Well, anything else? I think the good things about it, again, like we talked about, variety, cool. It's going to bring hype to different teams. Like, oh my God, this got banned and this one, so and so, this team's going to pop off this week. And like, it'll get lots of eyes on that team because they know that they have those certain players. So variety, hype for teams, overall good. I don't think there's too much bad with it, except for there's never going to be that like perfect play of that running that strategy, because there's going to be tons of strategies and you can't perfect anything.
I'm excited to see what the strategies of teams come up with what they're given available. Like, this is the hero pool, these are the resources. What can we do with the compositions here? I think this is where the coaching staff of every team is going to be tested. The analysts. Coming up with, okay, with these heroes, what's going to be the strongest? What can counter that, and what can counter that counter? It's always like a triangle. There's always three. It's a big it's a big.
Kind
cycle.
of just trickle down, because then you start metagaming. Where we know that they know we like to run this composition, so they're gonna start on defense with this, and then you like open the gate with something else, and knowing that they're gonna try to metagame you, but that's another depth that, like, if there's not the normal mirror compositions, I like that. Yep.
Okay, so let's move to reviews and replays that are going to be accessible and shared. So, I guess as a content creator, I don't know. Have you done many VOD reviews before, Fitzy? Like,
so I've done them in the past. I haven't really
Okay.
done them recently because I kind of got annoyed with watching when I would be like, "Hey, I can't tell you if this is good or bad because I need you to hit tab." Because
yes. Oh, I just remembered now. Yeah, that was the biggest.
It's very frustrating. Lower ranked players don't hit tab. It's free information. Oh, look, we killed this person. Let's see if they're going to change heroes. Tab. Oh, now they've got a widow. We should probably hide. And then, because that's what happens is, like, you're like, I can play. Oh, I just got sniped by widow. I can play. Got hooked by a roadhog I wasn't expecting. And then there's like, what ultimates does your team have? What percentage does your team have? Where is your team positioned? And a lot of people just aren't looking for that when they're walking around. And now with the replays, you can be like, okay, look at this spot. You're about to EMP. Don't do that because your team is still sitting in spawn. And the downside, of course, of the review is you're not going to be able to see the first person perspectives, being like, oh, you didn't hit tab. Like, we don't know what the comms are. So that's the downside of not doing a VOD review.
Right. Oh, maybe you can get both though.
Right. You could. Well, you could do a VOD review and then be like, oh, at this part, I can't see where you're at. Okay, let me go into the replay and see. Because like if you're watching a VOD and you're like, oh, I can't tell what this situation, if it's good or bad, I need to see what you're doing. So I have done VOD reviews way in the past. I am looking forward to doing them more with this. The other factor of replays is you don't have to worry about the quality of the upload. You don't have to worry if they're going to upload it like 360p. You don't care if they're doing it on YouTube. You don't care if they're doing it on Twitch. You don't care. You just get the replay. You plug it in your system. You have complete control over it. So I really like that. I don't know how much I'm going to do of it. I'm hopefully going to do more than I've been doing in the past. But yeah, what about you? Do you think they're gonna use this?
I think I'm gonna dive back into actually doing more, reviews. I'm actually gonna start doing it on my channel, I think, and add it more to like a regular Twitch thing as an incentive for maybe like the loyalty points or something like that. Be like, hey, and I always think it's, again, the quality. That's the first thing. I'm like, sometimes you suggest if you're gonna do a VOD review, make sure it's in like pretty decent quality. But I've received 180p.
You get like 180p, 20 FPS, and it's
20 FPS. It's jittery. Yeah, and I'm like, I can't watch this.
Yeah, and what people, people that they play on a laptop. Now you don't have to worry that like somebody has that specific upload quality. You just have to be like, hey, you got a replay? Give it to me, and you plug it in, and you're done.
And the replay will always be at like 60 FPS. It'll always be high quality, and like you said, you can move around now. There's a lot of times where when you would review in the past, or when I would also do a little bit of teaching or educational stuff, it's like you see the perspective and it's like, I don't know what would be the best choice, because you can't press tab, but you didn't press tab. And the fact that you have the review, you can pause, you can slow it down, you can check everybody's alt charge, you can be like, oh, you can see where the enemies are here from your perspective. Was there any way for you to find out that information there? As you can see, they're moving here, blah, blah, blah. So it gives you so many more tools to improve. If you think about it that way, not even like for people like us to review, but even for yourself, being able to share with your friends.
Yeah, you could share with your friends. You could share it to your coach. You could share it to your mom, whatever, whoever. Right. Maybe she's an Overwatch god and can help you out.
And I think people underestimate the value of like peer reviews, because I noticed a lot of people try to always look for maybe a streamer or content creator to review their gameplay, or someone who's like, I don't know, grandmaster or whatever. But
yeah,
like you underestimate, even if you're let's say you're gold and your gold friend also reviews it, it's actually very easy for them to also see, little things as well that could help you out. I remember just being in school in the 5th grade. It's like, obviously the teacher probably has the best grammar when you write like a little paper, but they always tell you to peer edit with your peers, and maybe they don't know like better grammar than you, but they can probably be like, oh, you missed a comma here, you didn't put a period here, you didn't capitalize your T's. It's always helpful. And just being able to have that freedom to move around in the VOD review, or in the replay, sorry, will again elevate Overwatch, elevate the plays, elevate everybody at every single rank. I made a little not that I made, but I kind of ranted a little bit about people always complaining about they've been stuck at one rank for like a year, right? And I've always been saying that, like, if you've been stuck in a rank for a year, you've actually objectively improved.
Oh, absolutely.
You didn't fall down. You didn't fall down in the ranks. If you actually maintained, even quote unquote hard stuck in the same rank for a year, you've improved. Because in 1 year, everybody at the rank you're playing at has improved collectively as a whole.
Absolutely.
And I use the example of like Mercy Super Jump. I mean, I see Platinum, Diamond Mercy players are able to Super Jump like consistently and know how to use this mechanic. And like 2 years ago, absolutely nobody did it. And I'm sure you've probably watched maybe an old Sombra game of yours in like 2017. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? But then you look at the rank, you're like, 4,500. What am I? It's like so many mistakes that you saw in the past weren't punished for. Just everybody in Overwatch gets better every day. And this replay change is just gonna once again, push the envelope a little bit.
And what you said about sharing with even just your peers and whatnot, not everyone has or knows how to record. I know there was a time where I was like, I just don't know how to record, but I can export this thing and just click, click, click. It's shared to my friend, and I don't have to worry about setting up OBS, get the recording, like whatever. You just don't know how to do it. And then console, I don't know how console works at all. I'm not gonna be honest there. Yeah, what if console can share to PC, and then PC can look and be like, that's granted. You could do VOD reviews with that already, but again, people don't really have software. Maybe you could share with your console friends. I don't know. It opens up. I'm really excited about this. I think it'll be cool. There's no downsides. I don't see any downsides, except for the one thing being, hey, I want to save my replay, and then if they're doing balance changes really fast, and for some reason it doesn't let you look at it. I know with like StarCraft, when you would share replays, if it was an older version, it would like, you could still load it and look at it, and it would just like take you out of the game and be like, this is an old version, and it would work. It just like had one extra step, or not even a step, like it did it, but it just like, it was different. So hopefully you'll be able to just watch older VODs and it's fine, or older replays, or ones that you've saved. So yeah, cool. So aggressive balance changes. That's pretty interesting, pretty pog. I'm hyped about it. As we've talked about, the big difficulty is the fact that like, oh look, we've noticed that there's a problem. Let's put it on PTR. It took like 1 month to decide that there's a problem, if not longer. You've now decided there was a problem. It put it on the PTR. It stays on PTR for a month, and then it goes to live, and then like it sits on live for a month, and then they take another month to decide. So it was just very long, like very obvious, hey, we should make this change on this. And it was just taking a long time. They've been really they've been pretty quick the past, like, since the beginning of the year. I was again, I was very worried. I have made several tweets that's like, back in November, I'm like, hey, we're only getting one more patch before Overwatch League. There's been like 4 now. 3 or no, 3. 3? I think it's been 3.
Based on their old pace, yeah, it would only been
Yeah.
1, but now that we've gotten 3 or 4, so I like it, you know?
Now, overall, I like the change. Good, cool, excited for it. Depending on how fast, even if they just did like a once a month, or again, with this experimental thing, they're probably going to be doing quicker. Like, oh, we should decrease Zenyatta's damage by 1, or like they could just do these minor changes and just be like, you know what, he's a little too strong, but just like barely. Let's just tone him down just like very slightly, or like change a hack duration from 5 to 5.5. Like they can do all these little minor changes that the more that the quicker that they're doing these, they could do more minor changes. But they did say they're going to be more aggressive, so they could go crazy too, where, okay, we're going to try to change Sigma's barrier from 1900 health to 800 and give him this and do all these crazy changes, and then a week later revert it, being like, you know what, that was too far, because they don't have to worry about it surviving for 2 months. They just have to worry like, hey, if shit hits the fan, what's the worst we could do? We could just remove it from the hero pool for the next week, and then like they could even do that. They could like put it in, and be like, look, we don't know how to tone it back. It's banned this week, and then they fix
Gives
it.
them more time.
Yeah. So that, coupled with the fact that they have the hero bans, could be interesting, but at the same time could also cause some weird like, wow, this thing feels really overpowered, because at the same time during that 1 week, again, let's say like very slightly buffed Hammond, while at the same time all of his counters got banned, he might seem way overdone, but he might be fine when his counters are in. So that might be a little bit awkward. But again, you know, they could bring it back and be like, oh, that was too far, and go back and forth. And then they did talk about reverting stuff as well.
Which they've already been doing. Some changes have been reverted lately.
Yep. Surprised, but excited. Because that has been something they have done in the past, is kind of be very stubborn, like, hey, we've already committed. There's no going back. Hey, if I get EMP cast time, I'm good. That is the one change I still feels really weird. Just like I don't know. There's something about the cast time. Gives you a bigger
window. How many times has your EMP been canceled now?
Well, it's not even just about it being canceled. It's about like people just walking behind a wall. That like, it's you don't think that 0.1 seconds is that big a deal, but you either have like, you already have like the coming out of stealth time, or the translocator getting thrown in the air time, right? So there's already that like longer animation. Anyways, it's the change that like you talked about watching an older video. Every time I watch an older video, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that felt so good. Like like watching the instant EMP feels so good. And I think she got hit just slightly too hard with everything at the same time. But I don't know. That's like, if they were to revert one change on Sombra, that's what I would want. Is there any
fluidity?
Change? Yeah. Is there any change on like any of the heroes you play that you're like, gosh, I hope they revert that?
I mean, I tried BAP, but I think I was spoiled with the fast Baptiste fire rate, and I'm shooting that. I'm like, man, this is slow, but this is how it was originally.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So I don't know. I think I'm just a bit too biased for now. I wouldn't say anything in particular. I usually get used to things at most, and I'm never too bothered by it. I can definitely tell why something like the EMP would feel just terrible, but all the changes other than Baptiste fire rate hasn't really like changed my playstyle personally.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if like they reverted the Zen speed from Transcendence. Remember how slow he used to be?
Activation or his speed, yeah.
Because he used to be just normal speed, and now he's just like, that was like 2 years ago, and they're not going to change that. But if that was a problem, anyways, I'm glad they're reverting some stuff. Maybe we'll get Scatter Arrow back. No, I'm just kidding. Please no. But yeah, problems, or I think stuff that they need to work on with aggressive balance changing. So every week, I mean, not every week, but the game's going to constantly be in this like never settled situation, which I'm for the most part okay with, but I also play the game a lot. So it's going to cause a little chaos. It's harder to leave the game and come back. I don't know if have you played League?
I have played. I played a lot of League in the past. Yeah.
So, and I've played a lot of Dota. And when you leave the game for like a month and you come back and there's this huge balance changes or like whatever, and you come back and you're like, what's going on? The meta's what meta? Like imagine you log in.
That was me in Fortnite. That was us in Fortnite.
True. There's all new guns and buildings and yeah. So
like there's a hamster ball in that game. Apparently that's old now too. That was like a while ago. I'm like, what is this? What did all?
They got lightsabers now. They got lightsabers, yeah.
Actually,
yeah, because the Star Wars, yeah, they got lightsabers.
Oh
yeah. So imagine, okay, week 1 happens. They've done a couple balance changes. So now let's say you just take a break for a month. Okay, because with other games, you've taken a break. Like Apex, I've taken a break for a month and come back. So you come back. And there's like 15 balance changes you missed. And there's hero bans this week that you don't know. How do you figure out what has changed? Where do you go?
Subscribe to youtube.com/fitzyhere for weekly patch
Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, they're like...
Listen to the FitzQ Podcast and we'll keep you in the loop every week on what we feel is going to be meta and strong in each week.
True.
There we go. Content.
So I think that they need to add something in game. This is something I think they should have had in the game since the beginning is numbers. How long does hack last? How long does EMP last? What does EMP even hack? How long did you know that like a torp turret gets hacked for 10 seconds? That like how long does a sleep last? What is the activation time? Like there's all these little numbers that like, what if they remember when they increased the Sigma activation time of, like before he could click it, now it can get canceled. So like if you leave for a month and come back and all of this stuff has changed, you're gonna be like, what's going on? Why did my Sigma ult just get canceled? I got Brigitte bashed and now my ult doesn't go off. If you don't have all this information and like, it's easier to keep it. It's easier to keep up with it when it's not, it's every other month, and there are minor changes like Junkrat mine does 130 instead of 120. Like they clearly have the numbers. I just don't know why they haven't put them in game somewhere.
Just don't want to clutter it, maybe. I've always agreed. I've always found it weird how you have to look everything up on the Wikipedia. Or
yes,
like a fan-made Wikipedia,
right? Like
encyclopedia that has all this information versus being able to find interactions.
Yep. So in Dota, again, I'm going to keep referencing, you log in and it's like patch rundown and you go through it. It's got all the patch notes and then you can go to every single hero and it's got all the stats and all the numbers and all the damage and all the blah, 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 blah. So
we should be able to access patch notes, the current patch notes in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
The more layers of clicking and like layers you have to go through to find your information, the less likely people are going to do it. That's like a proven fact. So if I launch the game and it's there, patch 1.44, what changed? Oh, it's in the game. Let me just read it.
So I think again, with faster patches, leaving a game for a month, coming back, it's going to, like, you're going to be pissed. If you're a Sigma player, you come back and you don't know what's happened, and all of a sudden you get stunned by a break and your ult got canceled, you're logging off for the night. You're done. You didn't know that was happening. Yeah. And now if you logged in, you're like, what? They changed it? Like, then there's not like, oh, I couldn't figure it out. There's no way. And like console, what are you going to do? Pick it up on your phone and start going to Google every single time you're going to log into the game? Because especially with it being hot fixes, and now that they're not, because I mean, there are people when the patch went live, I was like, yeah, patch is live. And people are like, what? I didn't get a patch. And I'm like, yep, they snuck it in. It's there. Just trust me. And that's what they did. And that's what I'm assuming, are planning to do. So yeah, I think they need to add some sort of in-game way to tell you.
Yeah, I can
give me the numbers.
How frustrating it is for people who go through that. Obviously, we play the game every day. We keep up with it all, but not everybody's gonna be like, has Overwatch as their job and they're just playing casually and they just never want to get caught by surprise by something like that. That's annoying. But okay,
numbers in game. You could just go to Hero Gallery, click on the hero. Oh, there's all the numbers. Yeah, you just go to the Hero Gallery and then it's like number or like stats or something or like abilities, and I don't know.
a breakdown
do
of
it.
each hero. It's a
Give me the
it's a
numbers.
hero gallery for all the cosmetics and stuff, but then there should be a section where it's like
Yeah.
the ability, explain it, interactions, you know, HP, changes in previous patches. I don't know, just a whole repository of information. Doesn't hurt. And then they're gonna be like, oh, we don't want to complicate it or overwhelm newer players, but like
You can have it a little. You can have it hidden enough that it won't overwhelm newer players, but like have it there for people that want it. Exactly.
Exactly.
So, anything else on aggressive balance changes you want to talk about?
I think we covered it pretty well.
Okay.
You got anything else to say?
Yeah. So, career profiles. They're gonna update those.
Oh,
because those are.
Oh yeah, they are. Oh my God! Finally, God. You know your season peak SR and the way your current SR looks. I don't know about you. If you guys, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's like the sizing is so weird and off, and like there's so much unused space at the top part of the profile. And I'm excited for them to finally revamp stats. Every time you look at a hero's stats, the stats are all over the place.
Yep.
Kills are here. The deaths are here. Kills per 10 down here. Heals per 10 down here. They're just scattered in like cells, boxes everywhere. It's just they definitely need to rehaul that, and I'm excited for that.
Then you click on the drop down for like what season, and it's like, oh, did you want current competitive season? What about season 17, 18, 19, 1, 2, 3, and then you go down and it's like competitive capture the flag season 1, and then you got like Lucio Ball chucked in there, and then season 2 and 3 of capture the flag are in there. It's all over the place. So it's cool. They also talked about the portraits, organizing the portraits. If you got to try to find a portrait, you're just scrolling, you're looking all over. But you can search like a hero or something, some
Pachimari, and then they actually filter all the Pachis for you finally.
So we don't know exactly what it's going to be, but cool. Obviously that there's no wrong there. It's not like it can look bad. It's going to look new. I'm sure one person will be like, change is bad. We should not liked it how it used to be. Blah blah blah. But
this thing's not aligned. Unplayable.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be cool. So yeah, they're making that change. Cool. Other thing, anti-cheat. Now, I don't feel like I run into lots of cheaters, but I'm also invisible, so like whenever
if they shot you out of invisible too often, I think you're alarm bells ringing.
Yeah, and so like if I'm shooting, I'm either out in the open or like, I don't know. I don't know if the cheats can't detect invisible things or what. I don't know. I just know that it's pretty rare that someone shoots me out of invis. What do you think? Do you run into a lot of cheaters? Do you think you do?
Unless it's blatant, I don't know if they're necessarily. It's always somebody else who hacky states on my team before I have to like look at it again. If I die, I usually just be like, I'll look at it for a bit. If it doesn't look blatant or that obvious, I usually just move on. And then when somebody else goes like, oh, I think this person's cheating, then I'll watch the replay, or I'll watch not the replay. I'll just watch the kill cam the next time if I die to him. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of in the air, and I don't know. If apparently there's a lot more that we don't know. There's a lot more subtle cheats that we're probably not aware of that they are using. But if they're good at hiding it, hey, I'm glad that Blizzard's finally putting a step to hopefully reduce that. I would
be excited and also appalled if all of a sudden I like logged in and like shot up 300 ranks in top 500. Like imagine if like all these top players had cheats or something. Not that I think they do, but it would be kind of funny to be like, oh shit, that's why these people are better than me. Not that, I don't think they are.
If something like that, if it was that significant with the numbers.
I don't think it is, but the other times you can tell when like a player is kind of like they're playing really weird. Like you can't really put what it is. You're just like, why are they there? Why does that happen? Like there's just really weird stuff that somebody does. I've had a couple times where like I've been like, okay, this Widow, they won't contest you close range. Like most Widows, when I come out of invis and try to shoot them, they like hook away and turn around in 180 and try to scope. And these other Widows like either don't react or they just like hook away and run, and they just like don't even look back. And
yeah, that's where I find it fishy as well. I'm like, what is this? Like,
why don't they contest me?
Yeah, they don't feel as reactionary because maybe they kind of got their rank got accelerated and their awareness. They're just maybe they're using the cheats to kind of give them like walls or an advantage, and then when they get shot, they just don't have that instinct yet to.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is like,
I don't know.
I've had games where I've been on the Widow like the whole time. I just like I kill her every single time. Never like I have like 100% certainty I'm gonna kill this Widow in close range, and I leave her uncontested for like 10 seconds, and she gets 3 kills, and I'm like, I don't know, man. It doesn't happen very often, but there's definitely times where you can tell that like, okay, this player, I'm having no problem with them, and they're just completely dumping on my team. Something's fishy there. And sometimes Widows are very good long range, and they suck close range. So that's another factor. But anyways, it's again not something that I really find very often, very rare. And like you said, a lot of the other times it's my team accusating them. And I don't know if that's because my aim is not my shining star. So I'm like, that aim looked normal to me because I couldn't do that. like there's so many people that aim like just better than me that I wouldn't be able to determine if like, oh, that's fishy. So yeah, that's just I give more often than I would say I give people reasonable doubt or rather like, yeah, benefit of the doubt. Unless it's very, very obvious. But yeah. So that's the last thing is the anti-cheat that they didn't say how, they just said they were. And I mean, that makes sense. You know, they don't want to be like, hey, we're doing this, so cheaters, you should watch out because we're doing this to make sure we catch you. So I get why they didn't go into details.
That's how it is for most games. They don't reveal what their methods are and what they're doing to not allow the cheaters or people who create cheating software to get a step ahead of them or anything.
Well, cool. Patch this week. We had it. It came in. When was that? I don't even know what it was. It's last Thursday.
Part B patch.
It's last Thursday, right?
Wasn't it this Tuesday? No, this Tuesday. 3 days ago. There's this part 2 of the patch went in with the McCree changes.
Is that when we got it?
It was this Tuesday. It was 3 days ago.
Right. Because we were going to do the podcast Tuesday, and I was like, let's wait for the dev update. I want to see what... So, what do you think overall?
I've been seeing a wide variety of compositions lately.
Me
and
too.
honestly, it's a little refreshing. And I thought I'd get flamed for playing like Anna or something, but most people are just letting me go. So,
We didn't have too good luck when we played the other day. I think we went 1-6, but...
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be that day.
It's fine. It happens. Sometimes.
It happens sometimes. Just give it a break. And have you recovered yet? Have you found your groove yet,
you know what? I dropped a Masters today. Ooh, I got back.
I did that last week. I literally did that last week, so it's all good.
Hey, we talked about it. You go down there and give it the seasonal touch Masters real quick. But I think I started today at 40-50, dropped down to like 30, 39, 25, and then got back up to 40-50. So it happens. A little bit of, figuring out. There's a lot of... The other thing that I would say when a new patch goes in, and this could also be kind of good with... Sorry, this would kind of talk about how the chaos creating from the aggressive balance changing is there is that fluctuation of, maybe I'm just happen to get paired with the people that don't know how to run dive, and on dive is decent right now. Because there were some games where like, guys, it's Winston Ball. You just have to land on top of them. And they would jump in and like land close, but not on them. So they're not doing 50 damage. So I can't kill the Zen. So anyways, other players having that fluctuation, and myself too, trying to figure out what's the optimal thing to do. Who do I need to hide against? So I think a little bit of that of every new patch is you're going to have those little fluctuations of someone's not as good at patch, and their hero that they main that they rose through the SR because of that, they're not going to stay there. So, but yeah, overall
just a lot. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good. I've just a lot of experimentation. It's still the first week, so it's hard to say what's solidified. Obviously, pros and Tier 2, everybody who's scrimming feels like they have like a solid grasp of what the meta is, and I think it will eventually trickle down. But for now, 3 days in, it's still pretty random, I would say. Pretty damn random.
Biggest consistency I've seen, I think, has been Rhine D.Va. People are claiming Rhine D.Va's meta, and so people are playing Rhine D.Va and practicing Rhine D.Va. And then I don't think support's been really figured out, but I think the tank that's like the most like tank lineup is Ryan Diva. It's like the go-to meta. Not again, like you said, experimenting. That just seems to be the thing that's coming through the most.
Yep. I think Lucio Moira are effective in being able to move around, dodge, heal. But I've tried a couple of Lucio Annas. It's been all right. Tried a couple of Lucio's. I played a Lucio Brig composition, M1 with full dive. Now you think about
full
that,
dive.
you're like, is that a lot of healing? But I thought it was okay, to be honest with you. It didn't feel like anybody was really lacking that much healing.
Well,
to be honest with you,
were you on attack or defense?
Defense. We played
defense with it. Interesting. Okay, I was gonna say attack. Like you burst them down, you're done. So you don't really need that healing. But interesting, huh?
Yeah, I honestly was pleasantly surprised at how well it worked. They ran dive too, so the Brig got a lot of value at all. I was playing Brig. I got a lot of value always. I was playing Lucio, sorry. I was I don't know, I focused on amping heals, but if we were ever like, messing around or poking around a little bit before engaging, just to make sure we're always at full health, speeding in when we engage, and then for the most part, just if no one needs to chase, then staying on heals, allowing Brig to always inspire and keep it all up for everybody seemed really effective. And I don't know, I think you guys might be able to try it out.
Try it out.
Comps, or don't be afraid of the whole Brig Lucio, no main healer. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, whenever
I wouldn't.
I very much so dislike the whole main healer, main tank thing. Like, if it works, it works. Just try some stuff. Like, we saw the hog ball or whatever, although people will say, like, ball's a main tank, whatever. But, yeah. I mean, Lucio Zen was the thing way back when. Granted, that was against Genji, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think it can work without. You just have to, like, not sit there and take poke damage.
Yep.
Because if you sit there and take poke damage, obviously, like, you probably need a main healer for that, because you can't just sit there and be like, well, now I have to wait, and then the other person goes in. All right. Well, I don't know what we have in store for next week. Maybe we'll get another patch. And they've been cranking them out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when the
comes in soon.
Yeah, maybe we'll.
Maybe Overwatch League starts next week, so it wouldn't surprise me if.
I think timelines. They said experimental would be the next couple weeks. Hero Pools was season 21, but it might show up on PTR, which people won't really test because they're just gonna wait for it to go to live because you don't want to take it seriously, so you don't really care. Something we really quick didn't really talk about. Hero Pools is only for competitive. That's not going into quick play. That's not going into the arcade and stuff. So if you want to play quick play and all that, you don't have to worry about it. Which I think is perfectly fine. I think the 222, sure, quick play, whatever. But I'm glad they didn't put hero pools into quick play. That's not the place for that. So, but we talked about that already. So, but yeah, let's wrap this up and head us on out of here, KarQ.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to episode 6 of the FitzQ Podcast. Today, again, we discussed the developer update, big changes to Overwatch. You can find our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Anchor. Anchor usually, and RSS feeds. Anchor usually provides and distributes our podcast to all these carriers. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can also find us on YouTube, which I'm sure. So if you want to see our faces, if you are listening to this on Spotify, you're like, wonder what this Fitzy and KarQ guy look like. I found this random podcast scrolling around. So youtube.com/FitzQ Podcast. It's also another place to find us. All right. And that's it. I'm KarQ Games.
Fitzy here. We'll see you next time.
See you later.